It's Tara of Westchester Realty, and today I want to talk to you about the HUD closing process. I recently had a transaction that was delayed 3 times due to the lack of understanding about the HUD closing process, and I realized that many of you do not know what to expect once your client's bid has been accepted. Well, in this training, I hope to bring clarity to the process. Once you've submitted a bid on a HUD property, you can check the status of that bid at the end of the bid period at HUD Home Store. Now, the bid status will either be listed as OBC, which is other bid selected, CA, canceled, your bid was too low and typically not considered, or AC, accepted, WI, withdrawn by the buyer. Now, you will be notified by email if your buyer's bid has been accepted, but you will not receive a notification if your bid has not been accepted. So you'll want to check HUD Home Store to see the status. When your bid has been accepted, you, the agent, or your broker will get a notification email with the subject line that says selling broker/agent bid acceptance notification. So congratulations, now it's time to start the e-signature process. Now the listing agent must receive and upload a copy of the earnest money, the pre-approval or proof of funds into the asset management system. The earnest deposit should be delivered to the listing agent within 2 business days of bid acceptance and must be certified funds payable to the buyer select closing agent. You will then need to verify the e-signature checklist to ensure the information for your buyer, the signing broker or agent, and the closing agent are correct. You'll then need to upload the closing attorney's state license and insurance, a copy of the earnest deposit, proof of funds or pre-qualification letter, articles of incorporation for investors, and a letter from your broker authorizing you, the agent, to sign the document on the behalf of your firm. Otherwise, your broker will be sent the contract for signature. Finally, the closing agent receives a link to sign the contract, and the asset manager is notified to sign the contract. And now at this point, the e-signature process is complete. You should be contacted by the listing broker once they've been notified that the bid has been accepted. Now, the listing broker information can be found in the MLS or on HUD Home Store on the property contacts page. If you've not been contacted by the broker within 24 hours, you should probably reach out to them. For each property, HUD has designated a field service manager who manages the property's maintenance. Now, you'll need to request in writing to have the utilities activated by the field service manager, and they may require a deposit for activation of the utilities and the re-winterization process. So you'll need to go to the Property Contacts tab on HUD Home Store for the field service manager's contact information. The activation form can be found on their website and sometimes on the asset manager's website as well. You should always encourage your buyer to have a home inspection. And although they're purchasing the property in as-is condition, they need to be informed. So keep in mind that no repairs will be made before closing. HUD will not renegotiate the contract, reduce the price, or give credits for repairs. If there is a repair required by the appraiser, options are repair escrow, a renovation loan, a 203K renovation loan, or the buyer may cancel the contract within 15 days of HUD's acceptance of the contract if the property is inspected by a professional home inspector who discovers structural defects that were not previously disclosed and HUD elects not to correct them. Keep in mind that the 15-day inspection period applies only to owner-occupant purchasers, and investors may inspect the property but will forfeit the entire earnest money deposit regardless of the inspection results if they choose to cancel. Now, HUD no longer supplies their appraisals to agents or lenders regardless of the financing type. If your buyer cannot secure financing or loan is denied, all or part of the earnest money may be refunded. It is the broker or agent's responsibility to submit the credit denial letter to the asset manager within 10 business days. If the agent does not cancel promptly, the buyer will lose their earnest deposit. Owner-occupants can also cancel in the 15-day period if there is a structural, roof, system defect, or non-compliance with local codes. zoning or building requirements, or if there's an issue with the radon that was not previously disclosed and that HUD will not correct. Now, in order to cancel the contract, you must submit a cancellation through the listing agent. The cancellation form and all supporting documents must be uploaded to the asset management system by the listing agent. Now, the forms can be found on the asset manager's website, and make sure you check for disclosures in HUD Home Store when you make your bid. Now, if you find that the closing is going to be delayed, make sure you submit an extension request 5 days before the contract expiration date. For owner-occupant purchasers, HUD will often grant the first extension at no cost to the buyer if they're using an FHA loan. You'll need to request that on the form and make sure you provide an updated pre-approval and an explanation. Any additional extension requests will require a fee, and an extension fee are non-refundable if the closing does not occur. At closing, unused extension fees will be prorated. Now, the contract will be canceled if the buyer does not close before the contract expires without an approved extension. Contract will be extended for 15 calendar days, and the extension fee is based on the contract sales price of the property. Extension fees are as follows: $150 if the sales price is $25,000 or less, $225 if the sales price is more than $25 but less than $50, $375 if the sales price is equal to or more than $50,000. For cash sales, current proof of available funds must be provided by either a letter or an account statement from a bank or financial institution. Fees must be in the form of certified check or money order. MoneyGram or Western Union money orders will not be accepted. Now, if the asset manager has not received all of the following: extension request form, extension fees, updated pre-approval, loan approval, or loan commitment letter from the lender by contract expiration, the contract will be canceled. In order to make changes to the sale contract, you must submit an amendment request through the listing agent. Now, the amendment form and all supporting documents must be uploaded to the asset management system for approval by the listing agent. Your buyer will select a closing agent who will perform all of the services involved in processing the closing. Now, the buyer select closing agent must complete a one-time registration to receive a HUD-issued settlement agent ID. Cash closings may close earlier than the specified expiration date. In most cases, if you're working with a buyer who does not have a preference in a closing attorney and you are referring someone, do yourself a favor and select someone who has experience with HUD closings. This will make the transaction much smoother. Otherwise, delays in closings are common and can be very frustrating. You can search Buyer Select Closing Agents on HUD Home Store under the Find an Agent tab. HUD does have time frames for closings, so you want to be very mindful of what they are so that you can stay on track. 30 days for cash or hard money purchasers, 45 days for all other financing other than 203K renovation loan, 60 days for owner occupants using 203K financing. Now, the 203K loan, again, is a renovation loan. Here's a big one. All closing packages must be submitted in Yardi portal by your closing attorney 7 days prior to closing. If not, your closing will be delayed if your closing agent fails to submit the closing package on time or at least 7 days before they are trying to schedule closing. Closing instructions are in the executed sales contract package. Now, many times closing attorneys who've not performed HUD closings do not read through the contract. Follow the directions and closings are delayed. HUD will not make an exception. So if you decide to use an attorney, make sure you read the closing instructions because you may need to hold their hand through the process if they don't have experience in closing a HUD property. You should know that the buyer's earnest deposit is on the line if they fail to close on the property within the contract period, including any extensions approved by HUD, and this may result in the forfeiture of their entire earnest money deposit, except where special circumstances exist. These situations will need to be documented and approval granted by HUD. As stated before, investors may inspect the property, but they will forfeit the entire earnest money deposit regardless of the inspection results. On uninsured sales, the purchaser will forfeit the entire earnest money deposit for failure to close within the allotted time, regardless of the reason. FHA insured sales, purchasers will forfeit 50% of the earnest money deposit for failure to close if the purchaser is determined by HUD or the underwriter to be an unacceptable buyer, and they will lose their entire earnest money deposit if the sale fails to close for any other reason. For owner occupants, they will receive 100% refund if there has been a death in the immediate family, recent serious illness in the immediate family, or loss of job by one of the primary breadwinners. Now, if you are unfamiliar with any of these sales types, please see our training entitled HUD Listing Periods and Insurability. Well, if you have gotten this far, you are at the end of the road. You are at closing day. Now, HUD does not allow the dissemination of keys at closing. So before closing, you may want to prepare your buyer to change the locks on the day of closing to secure the property. Now, once the closing has been recorded, you will need to open the door for your client and return the keys to the listing agent's lockbox. That's all I have for today. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below or reach out to me directly. My contact information can be found in the description below. And please like, subscribe, and share the information with an agent who might also find the information valuable. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your support.